Alright, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So today, after 100 days of hard lockdown, they eased the restrictions again, slightly. Not by fucking much, but slightly. They increased the 5-kilometre restrictions, where you're not allowed to travel further than 5 kilometres from your house. They extended that to 25 kilometres. They're not reopening any of the shops or restaurants till November 1 now. How many more days is that? Like another 2 weeks almost. They've opened a couple of things back up. Hairdressers, which is absolutely meaningless to me. Hairdressers, what the fuck am I going to do with that? I need someone to trim my fucking wild bush. My fucking wild COVID-19 restrictions protest bush. That was my protest against totalitarianism, was I didn't shave my bush at all. I did not touch one pubic hair on my body. I said at the start of this, I'm like, I don't care how long this lasts. I am not trimming my pubes until we have our freedoms back. So the hairdressers are open. You can play tennis and golf and that. I read one article. Listen to the fucking spin they put on this fucking article. This is one of the mainstream media websites this is from, this article. It says residents will be able to enjoy freedoms like getting their hair done, playing tennis with friends, and selling their house at auctions. And selling their house at auctions. So Melburnians can get a nice little fucking haircut. They can play a couple of rounds of tennis on their way to evicting their family from their house to scrape some food together. That's a wonderful little activity. I love to do it as well. I just love selling my house at auctions. Before COVID, that's all I used to talk to my friends about. How many houses we sold at auctions on the weekend. How many did you sell last weekend? I sold 5. It was a bit of a slow weekend. And in this article, after the bit where they say selling their home at auctions, there's another little sentence. But will not be able to dine out and have a drink at a pub until November 1. And that is the reason why most of the people need to sell their house at auctions on the weekends, you cunts. If the people of Melbourne go out into the street and start fucking being excited about this, I have no respect for them anymore. Like, if they're going to celebrate this, they're not real Melburnians. Melburnians are fucking miserable, and we don't like being told what to do no matter what it's for. Although that seems to have changed because there's a lot of fucking masks out there. When are the masks coming off? That's what I want to know. All I want to see is some beautiful fucking smiles. That's what I miss the most, just seeing someone's beautiful smile shining back at me, opening the doors to my own soul. This is the dilemma I've got at the moment. I'm so fucking sick of Melbourne now. I don't know. This lockdown has fucking annoyed the fuck out of me. I was half contemplating moving up to Sydney as soon as the lockdown finishes, as soon as the borders open. More than half, probably about 75%. I was going to spend like 6 months a year in India once the baby was born, but that doesn't seem like it's fucking happening now. Because India's starting to get quite intense. There is quite a few people we know who have died in India now. I'd say maybe like 5 people. They're not directly related or direct friends. Some of them are like my wife's friend's uncle and shit like that. But there's enough to be concerned. And the problem is, if we went to India now, which we're not even allowed to go to, so I don't even know why I'm talking about that. But if we went to India now, India's completely open, which is great. That's how I think it should be done. But the only problem with that is, and it's kind of a big problem, you can go out, like we could go out, and we'll be fine. Even if we do get it, that's fine. Like, I've got a shadowy outline of a 2-pack on my abs now. So I'll definitely beat coronavirus if I get it. I have no dramas about that. It's bringing it back to the house and relatives and spreading it. Becoming a super spreader. But the elderly in India, I wouldn't say they have like a very strong constitution. Like, they're not super strong. I mean, we're talking a country of 1.3 billion who have won like 2 gold medals at the Olympics in their history. They have a third of the world's population in their country, and they've managed to scrounge out, I think it's like 2 or 3 gold medals. They made a fucking movie about someone who came second. I forget what the movie's name was, but it was some chick runner who came second. I was watching it and she came second. I'm like, is that the end of the movie? What the fuck was that movie about? A loser? Get her the fuck out of here. And everyone was like, oh, she made it out of the slums. She fought her way to the Olympics and then she came second. She won the silver medal. I'm like, she won the what? She lost the gold. That's what she did. Who cares if you made it out of the slums unless you win gold? There's no fucking reward for effort in this world. Anyway, what was I on about? Fucking India. Yeah. So I've got to go there sometime next year anyway. So I'll probably definitely get COVID while I'm over there. But for now, can't go to India. And yeah, that's right. The dilemma. The dilemma is I sort of just want to get the fuck out of Melbourne now. And there's really nowhere to go besides Sydney. I'm sorry, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Tasmania, Canberra, Northern Territory. But yeah, you know, you're a little bit too small to contain the fucking Boyle. I need a big city to keep me under wraps. And Sydney's the only other place to go, but I sort of hate Sydney too. And I sort of hate Melbourne too. So I sort of hate everywhere, which is handy when you can't leave the country. But the problem is, if I fucking bail from Melbourne now and head up to Sydney, just as Melbourne's coming out of the restrictions after 100 days of hardcore fucking restrictions, move up to Sydney. And Sydney's been fucking wild for the last 100 days, for longer than that. They've been wild for the last fucking 200 days. So what if I head up there, move to Sydney, as soon as I get there, fucking Sydney gets a second wave, Melbourne's partying, I can't get trapped in another 100-day lockdown. I can't get caught in another fucking lockdown at all. I'll just have to go bush if they have another lockdown. I'll just walk into the fucking national forest and you won't see me for fucking 3 years. I'll time it perfectly. I'll go bush and I'll come back just as my daughter's memory's starting to kick in. So she won't even remember I was gone for 3 years. Yeah, everyone else in the family will be angry at me, but she won't know. Fuck, I wouldn't mind being in New Zealand either. I watched the Bledisloe Cup today. For the international listeners, the Bledisloe Cup is Australia versus New Zealand in the rugby. And the fucking mighty All Blacks won. I don't even know who the Wallabies are anymore. I know Hooper and I know O'Connor. And O'Connor is a Kiwi. That's why they hate him. Anyway, the All Blacks won. It was fucking great. But the crowd was 40,000 deep. It was packed. It did make me a little bit jealous. And just before I go, another bit of fucking sporting news. Lomachenko lost today. The boxer. Only a select few people will even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But he looked like a guy that was never ever going to lose. And he lost today to Lopez. He was undefeated. Both of them were undefeated. I didn't watch it. I didn't see what happened. But fucking Lomachenko lost on the 17th of October, my birthday. So whenever anyone asks Lomachenko, do you remember the day you lost to Lopez, what date it was? He's like, yeah, it was Boyle's birthday. All right, that's it from me tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, keep sharing it around with your friends. I appreciate everyone who shares it. It's fucking cool for me hearing from new people all the time too. So keep sharing it, and I'll see you the fuck later.